So hello and welcome back to the channel. So real quick, there are a lot of questions regarding farm accounts and what constitutes the perfect farm account since the domain system actually came into the game. And so I just wanted to make a really quick video explaining how to make the perfect farm account for your situation and exactly how many farms you should have and how many resources you can pull down on those farms during different seasons of the KvK that you are playing. So without stalling too much, let's get into it. All right, and so before we get into the farm account specifically, your number one resource generator and your number one source of farming is going to be your main. That's right. So if you find yourself not logging on your main very often, if you find yourself not sending out your gatherers very often, then there is no reason why you should have a farm account because your main will produce way more resources than your farms. And you see me on screen right now chaining barbarians, and for people who don't chain barbarians but instead prefer to have 55,000 million different farm accounts, well, I'm just going to show you how many resources this generates. So I do this all the time, and just for reference, they generate an absolutely absurd amount of materials and speed ups and resources. So this is a level 44 barbarian, okay? 44 barb, not very hard to kill. There are tons of these. This is a chain of 7, so I used 60 action points to kill 7 barbarians, and it gave me 156,000 wood for 1 barb kill. Again, this gave me 164, so about, I don't know, 82,000 stone or gold for 1 barb kill. Now 82,000 stone you might think is like not all that much, but you know, an entire gold pit for me, I mean, it says 3.4 million, but an entire gold pit for me is about 2 million. So if I can kill a barb in, I don't know, 13 seconds and get 62,000 gold, and I can do that on multiple different marches at, you know, the same time throughout the entire day, I mean, I'm going to generate an absolutely absurd amount of resources. So before you start looking into, you know, creating other farm accounts and doing all those things, really look at yourself in the mirror and say, am I generating as many resources as possible on the main? Because, I mean, look at the amount of resources that I have on my main. This is in 1.5 KvKs of barb chaining. I mean, this, I'm just looking at this, okay? We're going to skip all the other, you know, food tokens here. We're just going to go right into the 1000s, and this is what I get from chaining. I have over, I mean, 1.3 billion food in these 1000 tokens alone, and even more food in these resource packs. So your first and primary thing, make sure to be spending your AP and sending out your gatherers on your farms because it is worth it. All right, so next up, we're going to constitute what makes a perfect farm and how many farms should you have. So I'm just going to use myself as an example here. All the farms that you see on the screen are not great, okay? In fact, the only 2 farms here that I would make again are Tiny Cane and Miniature Cane. So you will also notice that they are the least amount of power. So we're going to log on to Medium Cane real quick, and we're going to show you why this farm is actually not built correctly. Because many people just think, oh, well, level up your research, level up your troops, you know, get the T4, T5, doesn't matter. I can have 100,000, you know, power farm. But with the introduction of the domain system, we actually found out that that's really going to affect your matchmaking, especially if you are in a KvK that is really worried about seeding. The power of your farms is really going to matter. So this farm has done a lot of things very well, right? So it is City Hall level 25. It's got, and this is very important by the way, all of its production buildings to level 25, which I'm not going to go over them all, but you're going to have to trust me. One thing that I also like is the Alliance Center to get all of your helps up to 25, and then all your barracks up to level 25, or barracks, stables, and things of that nature, just so it's easier to train those 2,000 troops at any given point. Especially if you don't log on, the larger your troop reserves and troop training actually is, the better and the more troops you'll get in the long run. And then lastly, obviously, the most important thing is the trading post level 25. So where did I go wrong with this account? What's the bad part of the account? Well, if we're going to go into the economy here, we ended up maxing out as much as I could. Anyway, the economic technology for the level 24 research center. But what I ended up doing wrong is, oh my God, would you look at this? Look at all of this useless technology that I put resources and power into. This 800,000 power, 800,000 power. I didn't upgrade that, thank God. This 600,000 power, 600,000 power, 200,000 power. All this stuff. Oh my goodness, 1.8 million, 1.8 million, 1.8 million. This is a disgusting amount of power that these troops never ever use, except for in the slight situation that I'm getting hit with AoE while reinforcing structures. The amount of power that I have from this technology is disgusting, and I basically should not, that rally's too far away, I should not ever research those technologies. So what does a perfect farm look like? Well, we're going to go over to Tiny Cane, where I created this account much later than Medium Cane. Medium Cane was my first farm account before I really knew what I was doing in this game and how to properly construct a farm. So this farm is currently under construction, and what I mean by that is I'm building it up. It's not there yet, but I know to what level I'm going to take this farm. And so you will end up seeing that all of my buildings are not level 25. I'm leveling them up. So I just want to give you a brief kind of overview of this account. This is a City Hall level 25 account at only 13 million power. That is crazy, crazy, crazy nice. It is a very tiny power hit if you are in a domain system that you can only bring a certain amount and affects your matchmaking, but at the same time I don't have inflated stats, and so I'm currently in the process of upgrading all of my production little buildings to level 25, and they will produce the same amount of resources as my other farm that is 3 times the power of this. Additionally, and we're going to go into technology here, and I'm still in the process of upgrading all this stuff, but if you go into my military technology, I've done this almost perfectly, okay? If you're having a farm and you want it to be the best farm possible, you're going to upgrade everything up to what you see on the screen. Long swordsman, crossbowman, conquistador. You're not going to get T5 or T4 siege. There is no reason for it, and you are never going to go ahead and research any of these technologies. Also, I did make one tiny mistake. It is my only mistake. You're only going to get these 3 things to level 3. This combat tactics level 4 is actually incorrect, and it's about 20,000 power that I didn't need. Small mistake, but that is it. So again, for your perfect farm, this is what you're going to do. Now, there is a situation where you actually don't want your farms to be level 25. This is where it gets a little iffy, but at the same time, I still think you should take your farms to level 25 because the trading post is so valuable when you're transferring resources. Again, this farm isn't complete. This will be done. But that tax is brutal. But in the case that you are not level 25 and you want to kind of squeeze in that domain system when you can only bring 800 City Hall level 25 cities into a Lost Kingdom, and I know you have to be 25 to enter Lost Kingdom, so it doesn't really matter at all, but when you're talking about the grand scheme of matchmaking, if you actually have a farm that is not City Hall level 25, it will not count towards your Imperium burden or seeding value. And so that is a situation where you should talk to your leadership and ask them, hey, can I make a City Hall level 25 farm? Because it's going to generate twice the resources, have a bunch less tax. This will be really beneficial for me. If they say, hey, we're trying to watch our seeding, then maybe it's the best that you keep it at level 24 and still follow the same research path that I have provided you. So again, do as much as you can in the economic tech, but as far as the war tech, just these 3 to level tier 4. Now, as far as your commanders go, this isn't going to be a surprise to anyone. You're going to level up all your gathering commanders to level 40. Why level 40 instead of 37? Well, you want this handy dandy 30% march speed. This is really, really nice, especially when you are walking to and from nodes and you are very, very active. Now, should be it, right? Generally, it's a farm account. There's not much more things, or not many more things to go over. You're going to get all your buildings, production buildings to level 25. You are going to do your research up to a certain amount. Debatable, but I believe that you should get your training little city hall things, training barracks, archer ranges, etc. to level 25 just for the ease of access so you can train more troops. And then I think that you should at least finish your expedition up to the highest value possible. Again, this is not a finished account. I need to do this. I am lazy. But you want to get this up to the highest level possible so that you can be getting those Ethelflaed sculptures. And now, why are Ethelflaed sculptures important? Well, I think that every single farm should have at least one highly mobile march. Why is this? First, you want to be able to reinforce structures in garrisons during KvK with the support tree. So if you go into Ethelflaed, which I believe I don't even have unlocked on this character yet, but she does have a support tree available. Where is she? There's no way I'm going to be able to find Ethelflaed, huh? She should be at the top. There we go. So the support tree, not very crazy stuff. Basically, what that does is it gives you a talent that's called Hasty Departure. That talent will, in essence, make it so that you move very fast out of structures. So you want to be able to level up your Ethelflaed up to a certain point, preferably level 60, to get this Hasty Departure. Another reason why you want your Ethelflaed up to level 60 is you're actually going to be rallying your barb forts on your farms during the off season. So one thing that I really like to do in both the off season and the KvK season is actually join rallies on all my farms. So real quick, just to do the off season first, right now I have medium cane, little cane, and small cane all rallying barb forts, and then I join them with all of my farms. I use all my AP, or at least I try to, on all my accounts every single day. Now when I'm in KvK, it's a little bit of a different story. My farms aren't powerful enough to rally barb forts. Your farm should not be powerful enough to rally barb forts, and you just want to join as many barb fort rallies as you possibly can. And why is this? You can see in my history here that I have joined a barb fort rally. Now, these level 2 resource packs are actually correct. So if you just convert this into food, this amount of resource packs is equal to, if you divide it equally, 1.51 million food and or wood, a little bit less stone, and a little bit less gold. But this is for every single barb fort. And guys, our farms have so much AP. Like you're never gonna run out of AP. Just join one of these whenever you can. The amount of resources that you have from this is actually crazy. So let's just say, for the sake of argument and demonstration, that I get 1.5 million food every single time I rally a barb fort on my farms. Well, excuse me, if I do that on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different accounts, you're looking at 7.5 million resources every, I don't know, 5 minutes, every, let's say travel time too, every 10 minutes, okay? So you do one barb fort, 7.5 million resources every 10 minutes if you're constantly logging in, as well as sending out your farms to gold pits, things like that. Guys, you can pull in an absolutely absurd amount of resources. So if you're doing this and your, farms are only, I'd say once they're about done, and they're going to be about, I don't know, 16, 17 million power, like my miniature cane over here. And you're going to be able to pull in something like, well, I have farms. So I have 5 farms. So I'll just tell you what I made. Since this KvK started 14 days ago from this recording, I have farmed over 6 billion resources using my action points on my farms alone in 14 days. Guys, that is a crazy amount of farming. Now, I am active on my farms, and that's very important. I think if you're not active on your farms, the more you make, kind of the better, because you can just log in, send your farms out, log out, and be kind of lazy with it, collect the buildings. But if you are active, you actually do not need that many farms unless you plan to, well, do something else on them that will probably get me unmonetized if I say it. But essentially, you should just create the farms that you need. And being on that topic, how many farms do you need? Well, Kane, how many farms do you use? Well, no surprise, I have 5 farms, and I can pull in anywhere from 2 billion kill points every single KvK. Now, I am an active player. I am a spender. I am all these things. So generally, I'm not a good representation of the average of what it takes in order to be successful and have enough resources. But I really have never had a resource problem in this game. And now, like I said, a lot of that is because my main farm, my main, is just so active with chaining Generally, I generate enough resources to, sustain myself while chaining, but the farms are extras just in case. So I think that the average player, if you're pulling in about 30 million kills a KvK, you don't log on your farms all that often, you don't do you don't spend your AP every single day. It's just something extra that you do when you have time. I would say your average player uses about 3 farms, and you should be a-okay with that. One more thing that I really feel is important to mention, and this is something that I probably should have put on earlier in the video, but is actually that you should not create your farms on the same email account that you have your main. This is going to be like, why? Well, isn't it just easy to switch back and forth between your main? Yes, but imagine a world where you don't have to switch back and forth between your main and your farms. So if you use applications like BlueStacks, if you use your phone, for example, if you use other applications of the Rock browser, you can actually have multiple accounts open at once. I wouldn't recommend syncing the accounts because that is technically flagged as botting for Lilith. So if you click search on all 4 of your accounts at once, if you're doing the BlueStacks share, Lilith will actually flag that as cheating behavior. But you can technically have all of those accounts open at once if they are on different accounts. So, and when I say different accounts, I mean different Gmails, different Apple IDs, etc., etc. This is something that is very, very important, and in the long run will actually save you a lot of time, because how easy would it be if I had all 5 of my farm accounts, and when somebody launched a rally, I didn't have to wait this long? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 17 seconds. All right. So if I could just have all my farms on one screen, if you have a second monitor, if you have a phone, and you could just look down, oh, rally launches. Okay, on my main computer, click join. Look at my phone, click join. Look at my second monitor, click join. It would be a lot easier than having to switch back and forth between accounts all the time. So that's really important. If you do want to set that up, become a hardcore gamer, be that guy with like a bunch of farms on his screens, then great. That's awesome. It's a little extra plus. If you do feel so inclined to kind of be more efficient and save more of your time. And one more thing. This goes without saying, but I figured just in case people didn't do it already, I think it is very important to have gathering sets on your gathering marches. So this is my main, not really important. You don't need this level of gathering gear on your farm account, but I think it is still very important that you at least get one very, very nice, maybe crit of a complete harvester's set on your farm, so that when you put it in the gold pit with your Seondeok, that it gathers as many resources as possible. Again, kind of thought that went without saying for the farm accounts, but I think at the very least, make your harvester set and be very happy with that on at least your gold pit march. So really, all in all, I think that the concept of farms now with the domain system is more important than ever. I think that one of the things that is super important is getting to that City Hall level 25, but keeping that technology as low as possible and spending those action points on KvK forts when you are in KvK. I think if you do those 3 things, you're going to have a huge army of small and low powered farms with actually a decent amount of troops on them that can generate, oh man, tons and tons and tons of resources. So anyway, guys, I hope this helped. I guess not as quick of a video as I thought, but either way, I hope you learned something valuable. And how many farms do you have? I'm actually curious, because I've had 5, but I hear people having like 15, 16, and if you're having that many farms, I mean, you got to be pulling in like 10 billion resources a week. That's crazy. Anyway, let me know down in the comments below. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you guys around in the next one. Peace.